Do you know what is an aggregate in domain-driven design? Let's discover it together with code example. The aggregate is a cluster of associated objects that are treated as a single unit for the purpose of consistency and data changes. The associated objects are entities and value objects. An aggregate ensures consistency and encapsulation within the domain model. It's important to understand that for consistency, the aggregate must change together. This means that also entities inside it must change together with the aggregate. So an entity cannot change without going through the aggregate. As an example, in an e-commerce domain, we've the shopping cart aggregate. It encapsulates value objects such as total price and shopping cart and entities such as products and customer. If we look inside each component of the aggregate, here are the details of what's contained in each one of them. Consider that this is a simplified example. Usually they look much more complex. Here is a simple code example in Kotlin, a JVM language. In this case, we chose to have a private constructor and allowing the creation of the aggregate through a static factory method called create. In the static factory method, you can have an input primitive types for instance and convert them into domain objects, forcing businesses invariants, rules and validation in one single place. It also allows you to create an aggregate with default values if needed, like in the case of total price. One important thing to mention here, the domain must be rich, meaning that all the business invariants, validations, etc. must be in the domain. In this concrete case, since it's an example, the domain is anemic, meaning that there are no validations or invariants. So you can see data classes, such as products or customer, that are entities, are mere containers of data. Let's now have a look at how to modify an aggregate and finally how to use it. In the first code block, you can see a public method of the shopping cart aggregate. So instead of modifying the product's entity directly, we modify the entire aggregate instead. In this concrete case, we make it immutable, so the addProduct method return a new instance of the aggregate. In the second code block, you can see that we create the aggregate using the static factory method, and then we add one product. Did you know what was an aggregate? Let me know what do you think. What would you do differently, or if you need help with it?